everybody. Thank you for joining me for coreXyoga today. I'm Michelle. I am the instructor and creator of the program. But with me, I have some peeps and helpers. I have Sally. She's going to be doing our demoing, so you can follow along with her. I have Jody. She's going to be doing our meditation at the end. I know it's Sunday. You guys have been working all weekend long, so we can look forward to that. That'll be nice. And then I have Debbie, who's going to be helping out, a very good friend of mine. And Rebecca in the back, our staff assistant. Thank you, Rebecca. We appreciate your help and everything you do. And she got our lights to dim for us, so we don't feel like we're at Walmart anymore. So far we're at a win. So this is a very interactive kind of thing. So if you have any questions, just shoot your hand up, let me know, and hopefully we'll have some fun together. So basically, the idea of the program is to offer training that you don't have to prepare any class plans for. So that's something that can be very time consuming. We prepare our class plans and then it's time for class, and then depending on who may walk in the door, those class plans may or may not be fitting anymore. It's also very time consuming for the fitness instructor to have to carve out that time, keep those class plans fresh, and always working on them. So I developed this system because I'm not a fan of that, and that's called coreXyoga, and we're going to learn about that a little bit more too. So welcome to the Mania. If you haven't already, download their app. All the information that you could want about and need about are there. There's going to be class evaluations, coupon sessions, all of that. And then there's some of that content we were just talking about. You're hopefully receiving your continuing education credits here this weekend. If you need more, this program offers it. See us after class, let us know. Nobody has to retake that ACE test more than one time, I feel. It's like the ACTs, isn't it? It's tough. And don't forget to tag us on Facebook. So, coreXyoga, that's us. Okay, so we're going to get right into it, starting off with the first snippet of my manual. So this is the manual that I'm presenting to you. The first one is Warrior Dance, and the name of each asana is in the upper right-hand corner. So you can see Warrior 1, Warrior 2, and Reverse Warrior. And this would be an example of what I was talking about. If you come to know the snippets well, then you can just change these snippets in and out as you go. Don't even worry about it, Rebecca. It's okay. I'm feeling bright and sunny today anyway, so we're good with the lights. Anyway, you guys can all see this, right? We're good? Okay, so this particular snippet is a really nice one. It's a segment of sun salutations that you can just pull out. You can use it for warm-up. You can use it for cool-down. You can use it for the crux of your class. So we're going to actually all get up and get started right away. So Sally's going to lead you. She'll demo it first, and then she'll lead you through this little sequencing of Warrior Dance. So.
All right, perfect. And I am, just so we're all on the same side, I'll always say step with your foot farthest from me, correct? Let me make sure that that's right. Yes. Yeah, so just so we're all on the same side, yeah, whoa. All right, so Warrior Dance, we're gonna step forward with your foot farthest from me, and then go ahead and raise your arms overhead. Most important cues here are keeping your back foot at a 45-degree angle and your hips are forward. If you're having a little bit of trouble keeping those hips forward, go ahead and just narrow your stance a bit. You get the same stretch, same kind of benefits here. I always cue to roll the pinkies forward, sit in that lunge, take a big inhale here. And on the exhale, open up your arms as your hips now come forward into a Warrior 2 position. Staying in that lunge. See if you can come a little bit lower and bring that knee a little bit closer to the pinky toe. Feel that stretch all the way in the inner thigh. And then we're going to take a slight inch forward as we flip the palm, and then inhale and press back.
Beautiful, thank you, Sally. So that's Warrior Dance, it's one little snippet. So it by itself leaves you hanging. So the next one you could do, and we have 30 of these for you to choose from on the entire manual, but the next one we could do is called Star Hinge Plies. These are not in any particular order. That's the science behind the program. You just pick them in snippets, then you can integrate those in your classes wherever you want. Plus we teach you how to make your own snippets. So in this case, we have star, we have goddess, and we have open leg forward fold. So the key thing that I would point out is the modifications that are listed on this snippet. You want to make sure that you offer modifications early on in your class, because for those people that may have issues going on physically, or maybe this is their first class ever, we want to make sure that everybody's able to enjoy a 60-minute class or 45-minute class, the whole thing, feeling successful when they leave. So we want to offer those modifications nice and early. So here, this first one is your star. The first subset of cues here is star reaches and goddess sinks and hinge forward. So these are just some verbal cues that you can throw out to basically get people moving. Once you get them moving is a time to add in the quality, and this is how the movement looks, what it is you want from the movement. So in this case, we want to make sure that we have an active core and that our arms press forward and back nice and strong, both opposed arms in that goddess there. And your modification, as we talked about, was bent knees, which would largely be relative to the open leg forward fold. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two snippets and we're going to play around with them together. So we'll have Sally lead the star hinge plies individually, and then we'll go through and we'll put them together in a sequence. Okay?
Perfect. So you guys can all face me. We're going to ground our feet into the mat, feeling strong and steady through the toes. We're going to take an inhale as the arms come up all the way into star. You should feel a big stretch through the lungs. You can take a deep breath, feel it sink all the way through your body. And on the exhale, go ahead and slowly point your toes out as we come down into goddess. You want to keep those arms strong, so they should be activated here. And then we're going to slowly straighten and hinge forward. You can always keep your knees bent if it's more comfortable, offering any modification, and then coming all the way down. And then from here, you can slowly roll up. Again, you can have a slight bend at the knees if it's more comfortable, one vertebra at a time, and just continue to go right into star again.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sally. So easy breezy to learn, simple to pick up. So let's go ahead and combine them. One element that instructors come to me and they say, well, I was teaching a class and half of the class was facing this way and some of the class was facing that way and someone else was facing the wall. So we kind of want to make sure that we manage them spatially so they're not embarrassed that they're the one that isn't doing what they should be doing. So one way you can do that is through star. Star is a really strong transitional pose. So if you were on one side in warrior dance and you bring them to star, having them all face forward, then we brought them back to central and we can continue on without any apologies. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the warrior one sequence into two in reverse. We're going to go into this star hinge plies. Then we're going to do warrior dance on the other side. And Sally's going to lead you through that so you don't have to remember at the moment, but so you have a bird's eye view of the whole idea. So, done?
Perfect. All right, everyone can come to the back of their mats. We're just going to face our palms forward. Take a big inhale. And exhale, open mouth. Take your foot farthest from me as we step forward into a warrior one. Again, most important cues here are that back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Bringing in your stance a little more narrow if your hips aren't staying forward. Arms are strong and steady, yet your shoulders are relaxed at the same time. Take an inhale here, and on the exhale, open up into warrior two. Gaze is over that front middle finger, sitting in your lunge. Slowly on the next inhale, flip the palm as you come an inch forward and then press back as if you were high-fiving the back wall. And then come back into warrior two, straightening out those arms. And from here, we can take a simple toe, bring your feet forward, and inhale up. into star, reaching for the opposite corners. Exhale as we come, sink into goddess. Toes are now flipped out. Holding here for a few breaths. You can hold it as long as you want, or you can cue to hinge forward at the hips as you come down all the way. You can stay on your palms, you can go on your forearms, whatever's more comfortable for you. On the next inhale, slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, bending at the knees. And on the inhale, breathe all the way up into star. As we come onto the opposite side, flip your toe forward as we track ourselves into warrior one, now on the opposite leg. Back foot is still at a 45-degree angle. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, open up into warrior two. Balancing out the legs here. Come 1 inch forward as you flip the palm and then high five behind you. Inhaling deep. On the exhale, come back into warrior two. As we flip that toe facing forward and bring our arms back up into star. Inhale, exhale, sink down, toes come out, working those inner thighs. And then hinge forward. Again, wherever it's most comfortable for you. And the next inhale, slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. And reach your arms into star.
Thank you, Sally. Beautiful, so easy breezy. We already have 6 down and then 3 on the other side, so that's 9. So the idea then becomes, what kind of yoga is this? I teach Hatha, I teach Vinyasa, I teach Yin, whatever it may be. Maybe it's restorative, maybe it's gentle yoga, maybe it's power yoga. The asanas remain the same. The only difference becomes the speed and intensity in which you do it. Maybe some of the snippets that you would pick for gentle yoga would be fitting for power yoga and vice versa. But generally speaking, if you can get your hands around the snippets, then all you really need to do is change your music and change your speed, and it's going to fit right in whatever format that you excel at. So in this case, we've gone from star hinge plies, and we're hanging out in the star at that point, and we can then make a decision, well, where do I want my class to go from here? This could be a really nice time for you to assess how your class is doing. If they seem bored, we want to pick it up. If they seem tired, we want to drop it down. Or hopefully you're right on the money each and every single time, which is the goal, right? If we can even do that successfully. So there's 30 of these. So the next one that we're going to play around with here, I'm going to move you guys into chest to tail. No, not chest to tail. Sky Earth. So Sky Earth is a really great way to warm your class up, to cool your class down. The only disclaimer I would say is you have a forward fold in there, and depending on who you're teaching, if your population is maybe a 50+ active aging class or something, you want to be mindful if they have any osteoporosis or anything like that. You have to watch those forward folds, and for that reason, plus other people have vertigo, all sorts of reasons why inversions don't work for them. But as you see, then there's the monkey in the center there, then maybe they just choose not to drop down into the forward fold, and they can sequence in and out of that. And you feel free to play around with this as Sally leads you through this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the Sky Earth, where we'll do the warrior dance, the star hinge plies, the Sky Earth together, and then we're going to leave it at that point. So we're building a class together, and this is a nice sequence regardless of what else you teach. If you teach spin or kickboxing or whatever else, it's always a really solid warm-up and cool down to introduce some yoga into it, especially when it's core-based and a little bit less pretzel-y and upside down, things like that. So before we begin, did anybody have any questions? Comments, concerns, interactive kind of thing? No? Okay, so we're just gonna power through then. Sal, you wanna lead them through Sky Earths?
Perfect.
And then through that sequence as you find it appropriate.
Okay. So Sky Earths, I always cue to go to the back of your mat. You can pick up your toes and set them back down. Just spread them out to really ground yourself here. We're gonna bring our arms forward, palms facing forward. And on the inhale, expand your lungs as you come all the way up. You should stretch those fingertips as far as they possibly can go towards the sky. And on the exhale, hinging at the hips, cueing to keep the belly button to spine, bringing your palms to your shins for a flat back monkey. Here is most important to have that back as flat as can be. Your shoulders are activated, belly button to spine. Reach the crown of your head farther away from your hips. And then exhale as you come all the way down into a forward fold, letting your neck hang, no pressure. And then with a slight bend of the knees, rolling up one vertebra at a time. Right back to where we started.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sally. Okay, so now we're going to get hold of the whole idea, throwing the snippets together and how they work with ease. So if you want to bring them, Sal, through those last few snippets, the idea is for you guys to at least have a 15-minute little nugget that you can take out of here with you and own for any class that you teach. So if you can get that far, then I'd say it's a big win. So go on in.
All right, perfect.
Starting with Sky Earths.
I always like to start the class with Sky Earths. It kind of gets you in the routine of what we're going to be doing before we go into some lunges. So again, palms towards the front. We're going to take an inhale as we let the arms travel all the way up, filling our lungs with air. And on the exhale, hinging at the hips, belly button to spine, your palms come to your shins. Imagining if I placed a book on your back, it would balance there. Exhale, fold all the way down. The slight bend of the knees, rolling up, ragdoll. We're just going to continue going all the way through, lifting our hands overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, flat back monkey, palms to shins. And then folding all the way down. Slight bend at the knees as we ragdoll up. By now the class feels confident because they know what's coming next. We're going up one more time. They know the flow. Inhaling up, hinging forward at the hips, bringing our palms to our shins for a flat back. For this last one, see if you can reach your head even further away from your hips. Really strengthening and flattening out the spine, and then exhale, come all the way down. Slight bend of the knees, rolling up, ragdoll. And from here, taking the foot farthest from me as you reach and step forward into a warrior one. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Arms are strong overhead, but you don't want your shoulders scrunched up. You want them relaxed. Pinkies rolled forward. On the exhale, open up into a warrior two. Hips are now facing forward. Arms are strong. Slowly reach forward as you flip the palm, and then inhale, press back with that front arm. Come back into warrior two. See if you can come a little bit lower in that lunge. And then from here, turn that toe forward as we reach up overhead into star. Exhale as the toes come out, heels come in into goddess sinks. Hinge forward. Letting ourselves fall all the way down. Wherever your arms land is great. You can slightly bend your knees if it's more comfortable. And then from here, on the next inhale, ragdoll up. One vertebra at a time. Neck is the last to come up. We're going to turn the opposite toe as we come into a warrior one. Now on the opposite leg that we started with. Seamless transition there, back foot at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, create space in your lungs. On the exhale, warrior two. Holding in that lunge. See if you can bring the knee even closer to the pinky toe, stretching out that inner thigh. Take your front arm as you reach forward 1 inch, flip the palm, and then inhale all the way back. Come back into warrior two. As we turn that toe forward, reaching into star. Exhale as the heels come in, toes come out into goddess sinks. And then go ahead and hinge at the hips as you come all the way down. Again, you can keep your toes or your knees bent here, whatever is more comfortable for you. Slowly ragdoll up. Reaching into star. Turn the foot as we come into warrior one. On the beginning foot now, we're going to go ahead and step our feet together. From here, inhale up one last time. Exhale, hinge forward, bringing our palms to our shins, back to that beginning pose. Fold all the way down. And then ragdoll with the knees slightly bent. Back to the top.
Lovely. Thank you, Sally. Doesn't she make it easy for you guys?
Hopefully.
Hopefully after this long weekend of intense exercise and rigor, you guys are feeling good after this yummy stretch. We're going to go ahead and integrate another snippet here. So we're adding on to what we already know. In this particular one, it's chapter 12, it's chest to tail. And I have listed Sphinx, although that could be upward facing dog, it could be cobra or baby cobra, whichever variation you want. I chose Sphinx. Second, you have plank, and third, you have downward facing dog. So this one works really nicely to flip through the sequence rather than just one thing in a row. I do like to go from Sphinx to downward facing dog to plank to downward facing dog. So put that downward facing dog in between each one cell. And the reason I like it is because some people just don't have that plank, and even if their knees are on the floor, and if you look down, that's our modification, you want to offer that early on. But if there's any shoulder injuries or wrist things going on, some different things that you can do is coming down into dolphin arms, which is really nice. You can use fists for wrists, that works too. You can have them come up into the balls of the fingertips and explain that you want to put the arch of the palm away from the mat. And that activates all of the muscles here below the elbow to the wrist. But essentially, putting the downward facing dog in between each one allows people to own their vinyasa flow at that moment in time. And then when you let everyone know, okay, we'll meet in downward facing dog or what have you. I like this style because it allows me to just breathe with my exercise, and that is what yoga is. You can breathe in to prepare and exhale through exertion, and you're inhaling as you're coming up and you're exhaling as you're coming down. You find that you're moving with your breath, and that's really what sets yoga apart from all the other fitness disciplines that they are. And I love those ones too, but there's an emphasis there on the breath. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I do want to read some of these cues and qualities for chest to tail for you. So with chest to tail, the first one, we're talking about the chest, open the chest wide. So it's not so much about how high those shoulders can get. rather how broad the chest can open. And then we want to lift and bring our gaze skyward. From there, we want to make sure that we wrap our legs so it's nice and active, engaging the core. We're getting prepared to press into the plank and pushing back into the downward facing dog. So however that sequence is out for you is fine. Your qualities, these are the things about the cues. So you've got them moving in the cues, and now it's time to tell them how to move to get a little deeper into their practice, and also offering modifications if they're beginning to tire. So here you have shoulders over the wrists. That's so important in plank. You know, you often see rotator cuff injuries and that kind of thing, and that's caused by having the wrist inward. So if anything, it could be forward, ideally right under to maximize your safety there. But as soon as you start in on this kind of stuff in a plank, that's when we want to offer a verbal correction and perhaps even a physical correction if needed to protect your students. So with this one, so rep thighs, strong glutes, and we talked about this yesterday in class a little bit about like the verbiage of glutes. Sometimes people will apologize for talking about glutes, which is funny because it's just a body part, just like all of our other body parts, right? So when you are going to adjust somebody or you're getting that cue to, you know, nice active glutes or strong glutes, say it with authority and without apology. It's just a body part, just like everything else. So keeping that in mind. That being said, when it comes to physical adjustments, you probably don't want to like grab their ass. You know, be mindful, realize maybe everybody isn't as comfortable with their body as you are with yours, or vice versa, whatever that looks like, but you know, realizing it's okay, right? We don't need to hide from it. And then modification, oh wait, we're on fast lifts. Like, I don't even know how that happened. Okay, modification, as I mentioned before, is your knees are the floor. I've also listed the anatomy at the bottom of each one of these pages. It's not a comprehensive list, it's more highlights. It's meant to be that when you're working through your snippets, you don't want to pick one that says quads and then 4 others right after that. You want to switch it out a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. Unless anyone has questions, comments, concerns, announcements? Okay, good. No announcements. All right, so let's do it, Sal. So let's downward dogs in the middle of that little sequence, and we're going to start from the top, though, with sky bursts, because as Sally mentioned, it's a really nice place to ground your practice and to hopefully allow the events of the day to begin to flow away.
All right, palms facing forward. Take a big, deep inhale. Feeling it travel all the way through your body, and then an open mouth exhale. We're going to go ahead and reach our arms overhead, elongating the body, filling it up with air. Reach those fingertips a little bit higher. And then on the exhale, hinging at the hips as we bring our palms to our shins for a flat back monkey. Reaching the crown of the head away from the hips, lengthening out that spine, and then exhaling into a forward fold. Wherever your hands land is perfect, letting your neck hang, no pressure. And from here, we're slowly going to walk our hands forward, finding ourselves in a downward facing dog. Feet at hip width distance apart, hips lifted in the air, shoulders come lower towards the mat. Take a big inhale here and an exhale. Slowly begin to track forward into a plank. Remembering to keep those wrists underneath the shoulders and at any point coming onto your knees if you need to do so. Take an inhale here, and we're going to slowly begin to lower down, remembering to keep our elbows pinned to our sides. Again, you can do this all on your knees as we come all the way down towards the ground. Go ahead and flip your toes so they're face down on the mat. And we're going to take an inhale into Sphinx, opening through the chest. Your back is soft here. Little to no weight are in those front palms. And then slowly come down. we're gonna flip the toes over as we push ourselves back up into a downward facing dog. Take an inhale and exhale here as we begin to slowly track back into a plank. Wrists right underneath shoulders. Again, you can come down on your knees. Slowly begin to lower yourself down, keeping your elbows pinned to your sides. Flipping your toes so they're facing the mat. Taking an exhale, releasing every bit of air. And on the inhale, opening the chest as you lift up into space. Gaze is up. On the exhale, push yourself back into downward facing dog as you flip the toes, lift the hips. Take another deep breath as we go into our last flow through these. Inhale as you bring yourself back into plank, keeping your core tight here. You don't want your hips too low or too high. Everything steady. You can come down on your knees or slowly begin to lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Flipping the toes face down. Take an exhale, and on the next inhale, open the chest. Your back is soft. Gaze is up, and on the next exhale, flip your toes as you bring your hips back up and push yourself into downward facing dog. From here, slowly walk your fingertips back towards your toes. As we ragdoll up one vertebra at a time. Bringing our arms all the way overhead as you reach up. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips, bringing our palms to our shins for a flat back. Forward fold all the way down. With a slight bend at the knees, roll up one vertebra at a time. Back into our beginning mountain pose.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Sal. All right, so why don't we all sit for a minute and we can chat, because I know I've had you working a little bit. Exhausting, this yoga, isn't it? Does anybody have any questions for me? No? Okay. So the next sequence that we're going to talk about before we thread all of these together is pigeon sails. And there's many different ways to do any given yoga asana, I believe. I think the core foundation is making sure that we're going with healthy alignment, injury prevention, and a little less about that end result of the Instagram photo that we see, right? Because how many of our students really can do that, if even us, most of the time? So, well, Sally's pretty good, but you know, I mean, you want to keep it real. And so one way I have done that is offer Gary's modifications, and pigeon sails is a nice example of that, where almost anybody could do this sequence. So this particular one, we start off as half pigeon first, and I've named it half pigeon. Well, this is my program, and I get to name it if I want to. And you see, she's just up, right? So most people can do this in some frame and feel successful and be part of what's happening within the class. If you're working a little more deeply and you're coming down into pigeon, you can bring your body down, and then you can always press back into child pose to end this sequence. This threads nicely with the one that we were just doing moments ago, chest to tail, so they can intertwine a little bit, and then you can wrap it up and end with this sequence, which is really nice. And all the hips have a chance to open, to warm. The connective tissues are warmed up already. We definitely don't bust this out in the beginning of class, rather it would be closer towards the end or last quarter or so. So some cues that you can give to get people into this asana is sail the knee through the hands. So this could mean many things. Traditionally, you do see pigeon with the shin shin parallel to the front edge of the mat, but depending on the tightness of the hips, that may or may not be available to some people. So I usually don't cue that. I allow them to go where their body wants to go, and then maybe if it's in a more advanced class, if there's any such thing, or if I'm working in a smaller group, or if somebody comes to me and says, you know, oh, I heard this is how it is, but I don't normally just go for it in group, because people will try so hard to get that shin parallel with the front of their mat. It'll also, yeah, I know, it'll often be at the expense of their knee. So we want to make sure that we're being mindful of that. Okay, so also in pigeon sails, so much of the focus is on the front portion of the body. There's a lot of leaning forward, there's pressure on the hands. Sally had cued earlier in there that your fingertips should be light. Somebody show me how to work my stuff. All right, fingertips should be light, and that's the case in pigeon sails as well. So you really want to have that active core work. You want your body upright. You're pulling yourself up away from the earth, not holding yourself from falling with your hands. So to accomplish that, you can mention that back leg is active, that back leg is lengthened, you know, reminding them that it's there and not just loosely hanging. As you move from there, you have your shoulders are over your hips. So finding the warrior one in this pigeon sail. So we always want to go back and find the mountain pose in any asana that we do. 9 out of 10 is kind of easy to see. In this one, you can see the warrior one here. The shoulders are forward, they're stacked over the hips. And then you can just round front if you want to come down. So that's a verbal cue that you could offer to bring them down. And then we can press back and child pose like a little bit towards the end of the sequence. Qualities, this is only for persons without knee issues. So if they do have knee issues, this can be done on their back. I would caution you to present that information in such a way where you don't just tell them, oh, well, when we do pigeon sails, you can just get on your back and then turn around and put everybody in downward facing dog, because now they're facing up and everybody else is facing down. So you want to think about what modifications you give people in the sequence that you have coming up in a moment. And again, the whole thing is based on teaching the sequences on the fly. So it's really easy to look out and see that some people are on the back. Maybe you want to throw in a different snippet before we move into a prone, a facing down position. Okay, questions, comments, concerns? Riots in the streets? Okay, so far good, so far good. Modifications is don't sit on it. And so this would be, I actually am going to reword this in edition 967 of my manual. Because don't sit on it doesn't make a ton of sense. So what it's talking about though is you don't want to just like sit on your heel. So if could you come into pigeon for me, Sal?
Yeah.
Thanks. Actually half pigeon more specifically.
Yeah.
And bring that. So you don't want to just plop down and just sit on that ankle. It's going to be a lot of pressure on that knee. So it can be in the vicinity of the crook of the hip, or even maybe parallel with the front of the mat like we talked about. But we don't just want to prop down. That's a lot of weight there, your whole body weight on that knee joint. You want to keep an eye on that. So here she exhibits this nicely. Okay, so again, pigeon sails, anatomies at the bottom. We're going to move through it. So this is going to, we don't have time to do all the snippets that I have. So this is going to be the last snippet that we integrate and we put together as a class. But then you have a little class plan that you can bring home with you. Sally, if you want to integrate this from the top, ending the sequence in child's pose, however it is you want to make that happen. So do pigeon sails first with them left and right,
Okay.
and then carry them through all the way from skyburst through.
Cool.
Good?
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. I like to go into pigeon sails from downward facing dog. It just gives you a little bit of leverage to get your feet where they need to be. So again, bring your feet about hip width distance apart. Hips lift towards the sky. Neck, just let it relax. You can either, if you would like, you can lift your right leg in the air, or you can just keep it where it is. We're gonna take an inhale, and on the exhale, bring that knee through, in between the hands, placing that leg down and slowly walking don't just want to go right into it. So again, you can come up, breathe and inhale, finding that warrior one, the length. Or if it's comfortable, you can go ahead and start to bring your pigeon to sleep. You can either come on your forearms, you can stay on your palms, you can go all the way down, whatever is most comfortable. Take a few inhales and exhales. Individuals tend to carry a lot of stress in their hips, so just take notice to when you put individuals in this pose. Different emotions may come up. On the next inhale, slowly begin to come out, not lifting right up, but coming onto our forearms and then our palms. I always take my back toe and flip it and just bring myself up a few inches just to be able to kind of more slowly come out of that pigeon pose. And press back into child's or downward facing dog. And the next inhale, you can lift the left leg and exhale, bring that knee in between the hands. Again, finding that length first, and then slowly coming down to wherever it's comfortable. Always making the cues. You can stay on your palms if it's more comfortable for you, or you can slowly walk yourself down on your forearms and all the way down. Deep breaths here. Feeling those hips loosening up. Any tension just letting go. One more deep inhale and exhale. And then slowly begin to come onto your forearms. And then back onto your palms. And you can flip that toe if it's comfortable, just to get yourself in a position to bring that left leg back into downward facing dog. Okay. From here, we're slowly going to walk our palms back towards our toes. Since we know the sequence now and the class has been through this a few times, you can go ahead and match the breath to movement. Slight bend at the knees as we ragdoll up one vertebra at a time. Go ahead and inhale as we bring our arms overhead. Deep, deep inhale. Exhale. Bring your palms to your shins for a flat back. As you bring the crown of the head even farther away from the hips, and then slowly come down into a forward fold. Let the neck hang heavy with a slight bend of the knees, ragdoll up one vertebra at a time. We're going to go ahead and take the foot farthest away from me as you step it forward into a warrior one. Back foot at a 45-degree angle. Coming into that front lunge. Pinkies are rolled forward, shoulders relaxed, and on the exhale, open the hips as you come into warrior two. Come forward an inch as you flip the front palm and then press back, inhaling all the way through. Come back forward, warrior two. As you turn that forward-facing foot square, as you inhale, reaching the arms up, filling the body with air. Exhale as the heels come in, toes point out, goddess pose. Hinging at the hips, go ahead and come forward. Using the exhale here to get a little bit deeper and lower. Feeling free to bend at the knees if it's more comfortable. The next Next inhale, round through the spine as you ragdoll up. Continuing our arms through the inhale. As we turn our toe on the opposite side and then bring our arms back into a warrior one. Now facing the opposite direction. Take an inhale here. Imagine if I came and tapped your shoulders, they would relax. And then exhale into warrior two. Reaching that front palm forward an inch, flip the palm over, and then reach back, inhaling through. Exhale as you come back into warrior two. Flip that toe as we reach our palms up. Star. Exhale, goddess, as the heels come in. And then hinge forward at the hips. Again, using the series to get ourselves to the other side of the mat. Slowly ragdoll up, one vertebra at a time. Coming into star, we're gonna flip the toe, coming onto our beginning side, back into warrior one. And then we're gonna inhale, taking that front leg and stepping it back to the back of our mat. So everyone's back on the same page. So we reach our arms overhead, hinge at the hips, palms to shins for a flat back monkey. Exhale, forward fold. From here, walking our palms out into downward facing dog. Bring yourself forward into a plank position. Shoulders above wrists, keeping the core tight. Belly button is to spine. Exhale as we keep our elbows into our sides and slowly come all the way down to the mat. Go ahead and face your toes so they're pressing into the mat. As we inhale into a sphinx, bring your gaze up and open your chest. Go ahead and flip the toes as we bring ourselves back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right leg up. Exhale, bring the knee in between the hands. As we come into a pigeon. Again, you can lengthen up to begin, and then slowly begin to walk yourself through pigeon to sleep. And stay on your hands, your forearms are all the way down. First, then your palms. You can flip your toe and walk it forward a little bit, just to make it easier to transition as we push ourselves back into downward facing dog. You can walk the dog here, stretching out the calves, work that hip pretty heavily. And on the next inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale as you bring it in between your hands. Same modification on the other side. You can inhale and then slowly begin to bring yourself down. Back up on your forearms and then your palms. Then you can flip the toe as we reach our left leg back facing dog. Track yourself back into a plank position. As we drop our knees and bring them to the outer edge of our mat. On the exhale, push yourself back into a comfortable child's pose, third eye to the mat, rooting between the thumbs and the index fingers. Taking a few deep breaths.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sally. Nice job, everybody. It's so easy to teach teachers. So we need to close the class now. Or we've looked at the clock and realized, oh my goodness, there's 20 minutes left. What am I going to do, right? That happened. We're on track with our time, and the next thing we know, there's a whole bunch of time left. And that's where the snippets are really handy. We can go back in and repeat the series, or we can go through a whole different array of other snippets. You can repeat what you did and make it seem new by slowing it down. Or let's say you're right on time and you've looked up and you realize, oh my goodness, I have to end my class now. So seated floats does that nicely regardless of which way they were already sitting. So in this case, you guys were in a child's pose, and we'll recreate the scene in just a moment, and then we'll end with a seated float. So there's no real need to turn them forward. You can, it is nice for the namaste for us to share that visually, but I tend to think it's a little clunkier, and it's better to keep your flow interrupted. Uninterrupted. So here, what we have here is we just have an easy pose. You can offer lotus or fire log pose or other variations that you know and like. I kept it simple. Then easy pose, we just reach arms up over into prayer pose, and from then you can come right on down to your namaste. So, beginning in cross-legged pose, your arms float up, and you do want to use verbiage that describes what we're looking to do. So we want to keep the space that we've created in yoga and have a nice floaty action with those arms up. Kind of a swim, really. And the top, the palms meet and float back down and down again. I'll often do this 3 times, and at the end of it, the last one I might say, with power and energy, scoop the air and his palms meet, right down into namaste. So this is my own personal style, and you get to pick yours. Some qualities about these movements is we want to let them know that the hips should fall open, right? So if there's a tightness there, and often that's even emotional, giving them permission to allow those hips to fall open is often what people need. You want to sit tall on the sits bones, so maybe move the fleshy part out of the way, come right on those sits bones, allowing the spine to stack nice and tall. And that prevents any rounding, usually that does the job. We want to have soft arms this time, and we want to breathe with the movement, so that's the big thing. So with this, Sally is going to close our portion of the class from the child's pose that you were guys just in, but I want you to end where you were, Sal. So everybody is where they were in their sequence for downward facing dog, so, child's pose, yeah. So going back to the child's pose that you were at, okay. We're gonna close it, or even open it, either way. All right, and to you.
All right. Here from child's pose. Take a big inhale. And exhale. Open mouth. And then slowly make your way towards a comfortable seat, towards the sound of my voice. Letting your hips just fall open, bringing your eyes slowly shut. Fingertips drape across the ground. We're going to take 3 closing breaths as a class. On the inhale, feel your arms rise up as we inhale and our gaze comes up following our hands. Exhale as you let the arms fall back towards the floor. Another inhale. Arms and gaze comes up, breathing in gratitude. Exhale, let them fall back down. On the next inhale, taking the biggest scoop of air that you possibly can, the biggest one in class. Bring your palms to meet and then gliding them down to heart center. And as we bow forward, we seal class with namaste.
Namaste. Nice job, everybody. Right? Easy stuff. So, we're bringing it back to the basics. I love all different kinds of yoga. There isn't a kind of yoga that I don't embrace or love to do. But I do think that sometimes classes can have so much variation just for the sake of variation and not really purpose. And so sometimes it's nice to bring things back to simplicity and allow the students to get out of their head and just be in yoga. And that's a big gift to give. The second half of this manual starts to break down these asanas that we've worked on. So the first half is snippets, the second half is individual asanas. So here, I personally teach in English, that's how I roll, but if you like Sanskrit, the name of it is in the upper left-hand corner. You can get this on iTunes, and if you do, then you hit the picture and it comes full screen and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk more about that too. Down below the picture is a little bit about this asana. So it's really nice just to have a handle on why we do a certain asana, or maybe a fun fact about it, or just some kind of information, even if it's only for conversation with your peers, or just a student who's curious and wants to know more about yoga. Here we start to break down the cues and the qualities and the modifications more elaborately than we did in our snippets. So our snippets are meant for quick draw information, but this is a nice way to really get a nice handle on all of these. And this really goes on and on and on and on and on until we hit the sample class plan. So the way I structured coreXyoga is I created a DVD that matches this manual, and the class plan on that particular DVD is right here. So that way, if you want to have that in your back pocket and you want to have a class plan already, it's all laid out for you. And then there, of course, is the table of contents of all that we have going on, and a little bit about me. I am Michelle, but I think I said that in the beginning. So you already know that. I own Edge Yoga School. We teach an array of different types of teacher training, all the way up to including the 200-hour Yoga Alliance. I think what sets us apart is we teach in modules. So if you can't necessarily give up 8 months of your life once or twice a week, you can catch some on a weekend intensive, you can catch some in a traditional format, you can come to workshops until eventually you hit your checklist of the syllabus and you've completed all of the training. So I need flexibility in my life, so I build that into my program. If you need more flexibility from that point and you loved what we did, we do have the home study at the expo here for $39, and it's just a little flash drive, goes right in your computer, and it includes this entire manual and then also the DVD that we filmed here at SCW. So it's a really great value. It's definitely expo pricing, so if you want that, come see us after class. But enough